Hi everybody, this is Rhys Barber from Audiology Associates. Thanks very much for watching our earwax removal compilation video today. Two patients in this compilation. Second one's quite an interesting one, which you guys have asked me a lot about, so stay tuned for that one as well. But the first one here, you can see we've got some very, very light material here at the entrance to the canal, quite hard as well. So this looks to me as if it's a hardened up wax, maybe a little bit of dry skin looking at the side of it as well. It's got this nice kind of sheen to it, but you can see it's a tough old plug here. So we've got the standard size Zollner tube on here, so the wider of the suction tubes, and we're just holding onto this top section, trying to work this out. Now, when you get these kind of bigger, harder plugs like this, they don't always come away easily, and so we're going to drop in with the Jobson horn just behind the top section. You can see how this top section is a little bit softer than the front end here. So we're just going to pull this down, and as we pull this forwards, you can see that softer material kind of folds forwards, and then you've got this harder underlayer here, which is a little bit of dry skin running underneath this plug of wax, so kind of surrounding it and running underneath it. So what we're going to do is carry on with the Jobson horn here. We're just going to see if we can drop behind this top section and pull this whole thing forwards, but it's such a tough layer underneath that that's all we're doing is kind of unfolding it out of the ear canal rather than actually pulling the entire plug out. So we're just going to keep going back over the top now. There we are. We've got a good grip on the rear section. Out comes that plug. Let's see if we can pick this up. They don't always want to be picked up with a Jobson horn very easily. We've got a good grip in there now. And you can see as we're lifting this up, that piece of dry skin is still going in further into the canal. So we've had to switch now to the crocodile forceps just to pull this last section of skin. There we go. So we took that plug and the connecting layer of skin away there. You can see the eardrum there is looking nice and healthy, but we've got this section around the front end here. Just needs a little bit of tidying up, getting rid of a few of these bits and bobs. So we're just going to start taking some of these pieces away here. Easier to do that with the Jobson horn on these harder bits of skin, just because if they were slightly bigger, you could hold on to them with a suction tube. But because they're a little bit smaller, the suction tube isn't really going to get a good grip there. So it's easier to go around with the Jobson horn just to tidy this up. A little bit of kind of looser wax there. It's more very, very soft, almost like an oily consistency coming away. Just using the bits of the Jobson horn here. Just passing very gently along the skin on the outer part of the ear canal. Obviously, we don't want to push too hard against the skin because that can then cause a little bit of discomfort for the patient. But eardrum, they're looking lovely and healthy, smooth, pearlescent, good light reflex there. So absolutely fab. So this is the patient's second ear here, and you can see that we've got this long, dry flap of skin right at the entrance to the canal. So because it was easier for us to use the Jobson horn straight away last time, we're going to go straight in here. You'll see how this folds down. And this is a bit easier to explain when you see these patients who've got these kind of plugs. You can see as we folded that piece of skin outwards, it had actually folded back on itself and into the ear canal, trapping a plug of wax behind. So there is quite a hard plug just behind that, which I'm working on now, very gently bringing this down the canal. I'm hoping it's going to take this front section of skin, which it is there with it. There you go. You can see that big plug that was hiding behind that layer of skin. This patient actually didn't experience any issues with this ear. It was only when we took a look that we could see it. But you can see that long, dry flap of skin going further in here. Now, rather than just keep pulling at that with the crocodile forceps, when you get these long, very dry strips, I prefer then to go over and just sort of use the Jobson horn just to nip it off at source there and bring it out. Well, sometimes when you're using the crocodile forceps, when you pull, if it's like a lift, imagine like a pull of skin next to your nail, it can pull all the way down the canal, which can be quite uncomfortable. So sometimes it's better just to sort of drop behind it and bring it forwards with the Jobson horn just to take that piece away there. You can see now just the same thing as last time really. Last year we just got a bit of tidying up to do around the edges here. There we are, just doing the bits and pieces. Oh, while we're just tidying up this one. Tonight's the night that Mr. B Senior is doing his 30-ton challenge. So I'm recording this in the daytime, and I'll be up at the gym then later on trying to record the video tonight. So you'll probably see that sometime next week, I'd imagine, because it's going to take me a bit of time to edit that in. But there we are. You can see now we've got this lovely shiny eardrum there. You can see the flaps of skin on there, the larger piece of wax. So we've got 4 centimeters. I'm going to do this quickly. It's 4 centimeters and just over 1.5 inches there as well. Some big plugs. That piece of skin on the left-hand side, so now at the top of the screen there, yes, to the right-hand side, on the top of the screen, sorry, because it's reversed on my camera. You'll see that was the piece of flap of skin we could see just at the entrance to the canal there on the second ear. Okay, this patient, really interesting, this lady. Lovely, lovely lady came through, having a few issues, came in for a hearing test with a bit too much wax in there for us to do the test. No sort of real history of any ear issues, no surgery, nothing untoward going on there. So we just think this is going to be a straightforward removal. So you can see we've got this kind of layer of wax all around the outside edge. Very thin gap. We can't see the eardrum though, so it needs to come away before we can test this patient. So we've got the standard size Zollner tube in here. Just started gently taking this away. Lady was very nervous, never had any wax removal done before, bless her. So we went nice and gently with this one. And we're clearing all this kind of dry skin, wax around the outside edge here. Taking that away there, and then just behind it you'll see we've got this another piece of wax which is kind of sloped up at the back, so we still can't see the eardrum there, but we've got this kind of very narrow section at the front and very high section at the back. Usually a little bit more awkward to remove these, just because it's difficult to get a good grip, and because when it slopes right up at the back here, it's difficult to get the Jobson horn or any tool behind it to bring it down. So we've got to try and lift it from the base of the canal here, and just lift so we get enough wax coming off the bottom so we can get a good grip. So I've popped a little bit of olive oil in here just to help that along, and we're just going to take this little bit of dry skin. Sometimes this will be attached to the top of that block, and when you pull that away it will actually move that block of wax forwards as well. But there we are, you can see this long strip of dry skin there coming away. There we are, you can see just how long that strip is as well. So we're holding on to it. Luckily there's a lot there, so it's not clarinetting here, which is that high-pitched squeal you get. We're holding on to it, we're drawing it forwards and going back, grabbing a bit more, drawing it forwards just to try and pull that little bit of dry skin away. And now we're going to see if we can lift this whole plug up from the base. There we are, it's just starting to lift. If we can get a good grip underneath, we can take the whole thing away then. There we are, now we're starting to get that nicer, smoother edge underneath, something we can get a good grip on. Bit of wiggling going on there, no turbo wiggling today guys, but just a little bit of normal wiggling going on. We're just going to work this down the canal. There we are, and out it pops. You can see a little bit of dry skin underneath as well, very smooth underside where it's dried into the shape of the base of the canal there as well. So we're just going to grab that, bit more wiggling, and out it comes, that layer of dry skin underneath. Right, I want you to take a look at the eardrum. Have a look at that. There is a, well, patient didn't even know they had this, but this to me looks like a healed perforation. You can just see it there. Now the reason I think it's healed is when you take a good look at this magnified section, you can see it looks like there's another layer of skin behind it. But yeah, this is a perforation. Now a lot of the time patients may not even know they have these small perforations. A lot of the time they will heal back together, but you can see it never heals back the way it normally looks. So sometimes you'll get like a grey patch. In this case, the skin has become a little bit thinner when it's formed again, so you end up with this slightly more mobile bit of skin in the pars tensor, which is that bottom section of the eardrum. And then if you get any kind of change in pressure, then that becomes almost like a little pocket, so it withdraws into the middle ear space a little bit further. Patient really hadn't noticed they had a perforation, didn't know they'd ever perforate the eardrum, no history of ear infections or anything, so we can't quite pin down why it was there. But yeah, a really interesting one. So I know a lot of you guys have asked you about perforations. Do they heal back up? You know, what do they look like? That's kind of standard. It'll either be a grey or white patch on the eardrum, which is tympanosclerosis or scarring, thickening, or it'll be very thin like that one was, and you get that kind of drawn in section. And so quite an interesting one for you guys to see. I totally forgot to look at the measurements. So it is 1.5 inches, 4 centimeters. I think I can just make that out. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed that video as much as I did voicing it over. I hope you find that second patient quite interesting as well. As always guys, take care of your ears, take care of yourselves, and take care of one another, and I shall see you again real soon. All the best guys, bye.